impacts this could have both on our department and its services and our community, and it's really that win-win situation.
Yes, thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity to meet with you each year. It's really fun to kind of pull ourselves together and our thoughts and kind of share with you the things that are important to us as a board. So thank you for that. And just also kudos to our Park and Rec and directors. They impress me continually on their thoughtful, careful planning, their research. Every project that they do is so well thought out, and just every attention to detail is just so impressive to me. So when we started kind of bantering about the idea of a large complex to help alleviate some of the problems that we have in our area with low field space, I just was kind of throwing it out there, but to see them kind of take it and run over the last few years and actually now come to the point where we might see something in the next couple of years come to fruition. Of course, he knows that Scott knows that
We'll
I'm
do something
passionate about this topic. So we appreciate so much that you guys are willing to listen to the ideas and thoughts. And I have been involved with competitive soccer for so many years, and still am very heavily involved at the state level, but also see within our own community the growing demand for field space. And even just in the last couple of days, I've been contacted by a couple of different entities trying to find somewhere where their kids can practice and compete, and the field space is just not available to them. And so the need for this is just overwhelming, and the incredible opportunities that come with it, that they've been able to foresee, just with the numbers and the economic benefits that can come is just astounding. So I hope that everybody's on board with it. I really hope to see something happen soon, and again, trying to be patient, but day to day still feel that pressure, that constant pressure of trying to help the citizens of our community have those things that they need to recreate in.
Thank goodness we live in an active community, and doesn't Provo show that every single time that we open a rec center or we put in a splash pad in a park? We always see participation levels at our golf courses, at our ice arenas, even at our arts center, at levels that no other community sees. And I think that's part of the nature of our citizenry, and these kids do need a place to play. There are decisions being made on both club sports and in our own sports where registration levels are being met because we don't have anywhere for these kids to play. And that's, from a local standpoint, that is the worst case scenario. So that's why this has become really important to us too.
I'd like to think that that's not only a reflection of our citizenry, but also the competence in which the Parks and Rec Department has gone forward with these projects, as Broccoli has kind of talked about. I think that's definitely a reflection of that as well. As far as I think, as far as I know, the administration and the council is very supportive of this project, and we're excited to see it move forward. Any updates on dates or anything, or is that for another day?
We have given the council updates that we expected to hear back from the federal government, which is part of the sale and part of this mitigation process by the end of April. We got an update that sounds positive, and a decision should be coming soon. So then we will be scheduling future meetings with the council about those decisions and the impacts of those decisions coming up here. So, but we are faced with, under the land that we have under contract, with a $2 million payment by the end of June, which a land sale was the obvious source of that income. So we will we'll be faced with that as we come up to the end of this fiscal year.
That's going to represent a challenge for I'm not sure who at this point, but this opportunity is the story behind this thing is quite a story to even have this opportunity right now. And so we gonna have to make some decisions, we're gonna need some help, and I'm not sure exactly right now, Mayor, I'm sure that you're working on it and trying to figure out.
We are, poor Scott, I ask him every time I see him, have we heard back, so.
So, because we would like to close, but even if we didn't, do we need an opportunity to be able to, this is such an opportunity.
Well, we won't let it get away from us.
Thank you, Mayor, that's all, that's what I wanted to hear, that's what I wanted to hear. Very good.
Thanks for pinning her down, Gary. Anything else from the board or anybody else on?
It sounds like we don't need to try to persuade you on this, but I just have to second what Lisa said. You know, we have all these kids who Parks and Rec have done a great job of organizing coaches and organizing teams, and they're just running all around trying to get places to play their games, and so it is a really important project.
Okay. Mr. Henderson, at this point,
Just keep going.
take it away. You
All right.
guide us through, at least until we get to number 7.
The next item was talking about the triple play membership, which was, I think, an idea generated about combining in a synergetic way the revenue generating facilities of Parks and Recreation. And we've talked about that impact budget a lot, but I don't know if we have talked enough about what an amazing service it offers to our citizens to have a rec center membership, which is the most successful rec center in the United States, and then have that also include an Olympic ice facility and a top-notch golf course, which is going to be going through some major improvements and upgrades as part of the medical school development. And to put that all in one combination, we've talked about how that has helped the department and how it has helped operationally, but I don't know if we've talked enough about how it starts creating this active, healthy community. And I thought that Jen Peterson would have a good perspective, because I see her and her family at every single, they visit my facilities more than I do, you know, so I have to get my updates from them. But I thought that it really is a true impact story that I think Jen could tell us about this.
Just one question, what kind of a discount does it give, the use of the other facilities, just generally?
You bet. So as part of your membership, you get, is part of your membership for the new Fieldhouse Fitness, which is at the Peaks Ice Arena, and it is actually free ice skating as part of public skate. Show your membership and you're in free. At the golf course, it is half off the short course and half off any range balls. Half off any
Substantial.
So substantial, yes. It is a great benefit, and it's migrating those 25,000 members that we have at the rec center and spreading those members out to other places, because who would have thought, George, that we would have built a 162,000 square foot rec center, and people are coming to me and say, why didn't you build it bigger?
Yeah.
You know, and so this was a way for us, working with this board, to expand, you know, our perspective and get our citizenry more familiar with some of these other facilities and moving in some other areas too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As Scott said, I have 5 kids ranging from ages 9 to 18, and they're pretty active, and we like to try to be involved, but this triple play membership has really benefited my family personally, and when we get out and go to these different facilities, I see that it's benefiting a lot of other families in my situation. I was thinking just yesterday, my husband and I worked out at the rec center, my girls were able to swim, and my boys had a tea time at the golf course. They canceled it because of the wind, but they spend a lot of time down there, and they've greatly benefited from the triple play membership. And so as I think about that and having it be the same price, you know, conscientious of budgets and what we get for that value, it's pretty impressive, and it makes me grateful. I remember as a teenager begging my parents to become members of the Ridge Athletic Club because I loved spending time there with my friends at the pool and tennis, and it offered very few activities. that you could go there like we have available today, but I begged them because it was really the best resource at that time. And I think of how my family would have benefited. You know, I grew up in Provo, to have the resources and the availability of these facilities, you know, how we would have benefited back then. And it just makes me grateful that my kids are able to spend time doing these healthy family activities. And the Triple Play does offer that. I mean, so many different opportunities, and we see that it's a success just because of how many people have showed up and taken advantage of that. So I personally just feel grateful, and I think there's a lot of people in my situation who feel the same. And it caters to all my ages of my kids. You know, a range of their interests and a range of their, you know, it really pushes them to spend time together and at a great price. I mean, it really is incredible, so.
I'd be curious about the difference before a Triple Play. Do you have any numbers or anything like that that could help us understand the impact of the Triple Play as far as use goes, and before and after? I think I can see the great benefit where people are actually, it's too full to go to the rec center today, maybe I'm going to go golfing instead, or hit a bucket of balls, or something like that. I wonder if there is any correlations that we can put together on a before and after type situation.
That when we actually announced it before the end of the fiscal year of last year, and according to the sales that time, we increased $250,000 just in that last month and a half. So this year, we are staying at those numbers, and then we're about ready to go through the biggest revenue time of the rec center, which is all those legacy memberships when we opened in May. So we're getting that crazy situation where we bring in most of our revenues in the last month and a half of the season, which can cause a little bit of stress, but it also is where a big impact can happen. And also the summer season where people choose what programs they're going to go into. Right now, 10% of our fitness attendance is happening over at the Peaks Fieldhouse. So those are the people that utilize their rec center membership for fitness. So we were able to take 10% off the top, and you know that we are busy during that resolution timeframe after the new year. And so we were able to take those and be able to spread those out to other facilities, so mission accomplished there. And we were also able, and kind of the untold story is protecting our market. So our rec center is impressive. You saw when the representative from URPA came down and said, we have what everyone else would want. And I thought that was a great statement. They say it to me in less nice terms when I'm meeting with them. You know, you ruined Parks and Recreation for all the rest of us, is what I hear. But there are people like Springville that have built a rec center, and that affects our market. And so thinking about this from a business standpoint, adding the extra amenities that Jen talked about, that was able to, not only we were able to increase that number, and then we were able to protect our market share also with visitors at the rec center. So both sides are going real well, and we hope for a really strong end of the year. And the first part of the Triple Play membership goes towards, of that extra revenue, goes towards that use by members at the ice arena and the golf course. And then the last part of that revenue that comes in goes towards the needs of the specific rec center for that. So that motivates our rec center staff from a selling standpoint to that those dollars, they're motivated to hit that mark because it has a direct benefit to the operation of which they're a part of. So I think we're doing good, and we're getting there. And along with this, we talked about, taking these other facilities off the general fund, and I would assume that helps in hirings for some of the needs that our city has, that not having these obligations. It also takes away that idea that I never utilize the ice arena, why should I pay for that? So our department has really pushed through innovative ideas like this, which have gone to our board, about the users covering their costs. And that sounds so logical, but it is also quite revolutionary in the Parks and Recreation field, and we're able to accomplish that here.
One other thing that what really impressed me was the way you were able to help the residents acclimate to only one pool in our community. When Seven Peaks goes down, and we all expected it to be online, to have the ability to still give the community what they need and not, I didn't hear complain, oh, it's too crowded, it's a mess, it's too hard. But that's a challenge, to deal with that many people who maybe we hadn't actually planned for. And I think, I'm curious now how you're seeing the pools for the summer with the reopening of Seven Peaks. Are we gonna be able to hold on to what we've had in the past? Or are
We've
you
always
concerned?
loved the idea that we have a water park in our community. We understand we are not all of recreation for everyone, so diversity in our community of a high-level water park is a good thing for us, and I think that works for us. So that is definitely a regional draw. So you can see that we may take care of our citizens, and that may serve more in the regional draw. So we had to expand and we had to adapt, but that just goes exactly that example, that how we have to react to them, how the market changes. And some of it can be competition, and some of it can be people that are not, that have moved out of that operation for a short period of time. So we had to change that with our admission, how we get people in and out, and how we move people, how we educate people on what is fully available and spreading them out in the facility. And all that worked really well last summer. But you're right, so new summer, 2019, new summer, so it's time to adjust some management methods here.
Okay, thank you.
All right, the project and the amenity that has always been number one in our master planning is trails. And as we were going with the RAP tax and the pay-as-you-go method that we chose to take instead of taking on debt, so the first thing that is happening is improvements to the Provo River Trail. And you may have seen some of these improvements on 820 North, and you've seen that we're improving that underpass, and now it's working back into Exchange Park and going both directions, widening the trails. So we really tried to be responsive, like we promised. I think as a lot of people call us about passing their RAP tax, we were more specific than any other city that I have seen. We told people what we were going to do with it, and now it's time to deliver on that. And Doug Robbins, Assistant Director, has been a great spearhead on the trail project. And Doug, do you want to kind of give an update of what they can expect timing-wise on this first big improvement?
Sure. Right now, as Scott said, they're really focusing on the west side out by Geneva Road. So they're actually using the existing trail surface, pulverizing that material and using it as base. It's really an efficient way to add value to the project. They'll work upriver as they go on these crossings, making them much more comfortable in the first phase. Second phase will move from about Columbia Lane up through the State Street area, behind Granbury and up to 2230 North. Also, we're happy to kind of announce that the MAG has provided funding to improve that gap, the section between the North University Greenway and the River Trail. So from 2230 North at the Motion Picture Studio, traveling along the roadway and connecting to North University Avenue will also be improved in the next couple of years with outside funding. They only require a 6.77% match from the city, so it's almost free money for MAG, so that's really come at an opportune time. So the entire pathway will see the whole trail along the Provo River and the North University Greenway will be connected finally as part of this overall project.
Some of the amenities, width, lighting, some of those things that we can really expect out of this, a big change for this trail.
Yeah, there certainly will be lighting in areas that were previously fairly dark. These tunnel crossings that were kind of felt a little bit sketchy in the past will be widened and be much more comfortable. Some of the turns on the pathway coming down to those ramps will be widened out and straightened out as well. So there's a lot of big routes. A lot of the tight corners will be straightened out as well. Just more more user-friendly, and again, gets more lighting.
You're kind of getting around it a little bit, but specifically the KOA, is that?
The KOA didn't come with a funding program, but we're doing what we can to try to get it into a state where the trail coming through will have some turf grass adjacent to the trail. That will kind of go into an overall master plan for Utah Park.
With the mixed development, is that all isolated by BYU property from the river, or is there access for the mix to the river or to the river trail?
Right now, there is a fence that separates it, but you can go right around that fence and access the trail right there at 2230 North.
Out of the.
Yeah. The city, we have a small trailhead there. It's probably about a quarter acre. The rest is motion picture studio property.
Well, Bruce Snow spends a lot of time on our trails and also reports on just about every board meeting on his scientific surveys that he gets from talking to other citizens on there. So, Bruce, is there anything you'd like to say about our trail system?
Well, I am really glad that we're working and going forward on a trail. But my biggest thrill about this trail is that we're going to put signs up saying, "This is your rat tax at work," which is we you know, when we sold that, we kind of said that, and so I think that that's great. I think there's some other really interesting things too. That Spring Creek Park in South Provo, if you've seen that towards Springville, that is going to help those neighborhoods out there so much, and I think they're really appreciative of that. We have the Rock Canyon Trailhead Agreement. We have Slate Canyon that's getting all geared up. And then we have the play center over here for children that'll be opened this fall. So those things are really great. But aside from all of that, this year I was walking around. I walk all the parks. I check on Utah County to see how they compare to us, and they need a little work. But at Rock Canyon Park, I noticed that the pavilions were getting a little shabby on top. We needed the shingle. We needed to redo those roofs, and I just kept that in the back of my mind and said, you know, I might call up here and say, hey, can we get those patched up or something? But the next time I walked down there, somebody was up there re-roofing that. And I thought, you know, that is really good. Those things really make a difference to people. And that park is used all of the time. I mean, we say we don't play soccer, we don't have enough soccer fields, but I'm telling you, every night, somebody's down there playing soccer and lacrosse. Every night. And I'm sure they're not scheduled. But in any event, so I told Doug about that park, and I was glad somebody got down there. And what he told me was fascinating. But this is how the rec department works. They had somebody in the rec department who can shingle pavilions, and they used him, and that saved a ton of money. And I've just noticed that Doug does that all of the time. Little things where you could pay large amounts of money, they do it themselves. So I really commend them for all they do. Any questions about any of those areas or parks or?
When is Spring Creek ready? I went by that yesterday. They're really working hard on it.
So it looks like we booked June 20th as the opening, so you'll all get the invite to celebrate that together. And Bruce is absolutely right. Can you imagine a neighborhood on that side of the highway with a greater density level and that had a greater need for a park? And I think once you guys see that neighborhood park, it is going to revolutionize how parks are built in Provo forever. There are amenities and the way that the amenities are integrated into the landscaping and shade structures above the playgrounds, which was not part of a normal design standard that is going to be part of it now. We are doing things there that it's absolutely going to change how we do parks in Provo, and in a very good way.
So the original plan, I thought, called for kind of a mound in the middle. Is that still gonna happen?
Still there. Yeah, well, that mound in the middle is topsoil. So
Right.
that will be spread out. There are mounds, but not quite Mount Everest mounds. So, but it did have, that's another unique thing about the park, is the topography is very unique and very exciting. And it serves as kind of a landscape architecture way to protect users of the park from the high traffic, which is right next to there. There's also a fence, but so, it's a way to kind of hug the park away from the traffic and do those things. So the use of berming and changes in heights, it was a big part of this project, and I really like the look of that.
I'm curious what, maybe this is beyond Parks and Rec, I can't remember, but the Bonneville Shoreline Trail connection to the north. I probably get asked about that more than anything because of where I live. Everyone wants to know, when are we going to be able to make those connections? Is there any update on that?
Gary Winterton tackled this on the way in.
Can I just talk, on that Monday, I had somebody from my neighborhood that uses that Bonneville Shoreline Trail. He says, I go up there with my dog every day, and he says, we got some problems on that Bonneville Shoreline Trail. And he says, would you come up with me and look at them? We went up Friday, he says, can we get together Friday? We went up Friday, and by the time, between Monday and Friday, they had been up grading, doing some things, and that water comes down. It's a challenge to do. That's a unique, that's so steep with the water coming down. But yes, the Bonneville Shoreline, they are conscious. I appreciate you jumping on that, because I met with that person that took me up there. He said, oh my gosh. He says, why don't we just put metal plates over this? Nah. Roger, that's not going to work. That water will just run under the metal plates, but they have got some plans, and I don't know about the connection of it, but right through Rock Canyon there, they were working hard on that, and I was amazed. It was really fun for me to hear, oh my gosh, between Monday and Friday, they've been up here grading and working on this, and they're aware of it, and so I think Bonneville Shoreline is on the
The connection is...
The connection, I think we merely had to mention it to Mayor Kafusi and Isaac, and all of a sudden they turned into hikers extraordinaire looking for options in that area, even meeting with, it's a mixture of federal land and private land, and so there's some things that we're gonna have to we can continue the work and effort, and Doug has been just right on point working with the Forest Service. I'm trying to extend it to that private land, and then we will have to be opportunistic and working with and see what opportunities we can have to make that connection. But I agree, George, that would be an epic accomplishment. And what's something that seemed very far away, not more than a year and a half ago, I think there's a plan and there's a solution now. It's just when all the timing happens with it. So it's...
You had somebody retired last year, I seem to recall, who had been working on that. And I went up to him afterwards and he said, I'm still working on it. And he says, I hope hope this won't go away. And I said, well, if you get it done, we'll make a statue of you. I don't think that's too much.
Maybe a little one.
Maybe a little death statue.
It'll have to be him with his arm around Doug, and that may be the statue then, because since Larry retired, I think Doug has really picked that up and bringing that, trying to get the continuity of that trail there. But the mayor has really expressed, well, the mayor has shown support on a lot of things, parks and recreation, and that is why we are advancing the way we are. The support from our administration is absolutely tremendous, and you can see it when a new idea or anything that provides a greater elevated service to our citizens. Sometimes I feel like we have them at hello. How can we do this? How can we move this along? They're absolutely excellent about that. The Bonneville Shoreline is another great example of the support we receive.
Keep it up. Count me in.
This one's kind of a general discussion about promoting health and active lifestyles in Provo. We have an active community. Our average age, if it hasn't changed, is right around 21 years old. So we have an active and healthy community with a lot of healthy lifestyles in our community. I remember way back when we first opened up the new recreation center, and it was Mayor Curtis on that time, after about a year of operations, he just stopped me once and said, because it's hard for me to know what everyone did in Provo before this facility. And now that we've added triple play and we've added, we were gonna have 40 fitness classes a week, but now that we have 25,000 member, we have 140 fitness classes a week, all full, that you have to book in advance to get there, you have to be organized to go in. So the impact of that on your community, both in creating healthy, active lifestyles and decreasing needs on medical and all those elements that are throughout our community, even just what Bruce talks about with the trails and being able to have these facilities in these parks close and or even adjacent to where people live. It's an amazing community that we live in, and I think it is a storyline that we'll be telling someday, is how elevating Parks and Recreation Services elevates your community and its health too. So I don't know if there's anybody amongst the board that wanted to comment on what kind of impact these facilities in your community have on the overall health of the community.
I'll say something. My name is Tom Sitake. One person just asked me, who are you? I moved here from Hawaii in December of 1982. I used to visit here before. I have brothers and relatives at BYU, and I fell in love with Provo. So I went back to Hawaii, and in December of '82, I came here. And my kids went to Fair Junior High. My sons went to TMU. My daughters went to Provo High. And then I bought a home in Oregon, but I always loved Provo. I went up north to Salt Lake, but I live in Oregon. And I'm back to Provo again now. And everything that we've been talking about this time take back my thinking of the days I came in to Provo. I did help Provo City at that time. I was coaching little kids football, and I remember taking the whole kids all the way to the center street of Orem to play sports over there. And then we got to go to other areas. But since I joined in, I would like to salute our mayor allowing me to be a part of this. I won't say much, but when I live here, I have a lot of Polynesian community I'm involved in. I'm telling them what is going on. They are really impressed with what our director is doing. And I'm just sitting here and I said, man, I'm almost 72, and I've been here all these years, and I see my grandkids, my oldest is 18 now, almost out of high school. And I said, man, Provo is just moving. And I just remember how small this community was. We used to go hunting around. I was here in '83, when the big flood happened to the city of Provo. There were 28 rugby players here. I remember Waisika Hammer was a game, and the husband of our mayor. We were talking about the big flood of that year. We sandbagged the whole city, Center Street here, all the way up to 300 South. There were a lot of people working together as a team. So when I was told that I'd be this fall here, I was very excited. Because I went and begged, please let me be involved, let me help the city. When I was in Orem for 14 years, I was involved in Orem City. I helped the mayor, I even helped with our governor. I used to help with the other governors in Salt Lake. I try to help in every way I can with the community. So I'm all in. I'm not halfway in, I'm all in. I'm from Provo. And I have kids. I have 12 siblings. I have a brother in Spanish Fork, a brother in Springfield. I am here, a brother in Orem, a brother in Spanish in Magna, and a sister in Sandy, and another sister in Draper. So all of them came here because they stayed in Provo before they moved up there. So to all of you who've been here and raised in Provo, thank you for making this a great place. And I'll stay here till I die. On the 70, but that's other than that into what people all talk about here. It is a great place to live. I have 12 grandkids and I want all of them to come here if they can go to school here. If not, go to another school, but come home. This is home for us. Thank you for listening. Anything else I can do, just tell me. I'll do it, I promise.
I appreciated those comments. Provo has changed. And I'd say, throughout its history, since its founding in 1849, it's constantly changed. And I think you can look back in time and pinpoint, well, we had it good at that time, and things were good at this time. And I think that's a testament to the community members that as we've grown, things change, but we are still working hard to make Provo a great place to live. And I think the Parks and Rec is an important part of that, and your efforts. I think we're different now than we were in '83. We're different now than when I arrived here 13 years ago. And in 13 years, I think we are going to look very different. But if we are smart in how we grow, and as we integrate active and healthy lifestyles as a part of that, then I think that we can continue to be a happy, healthy community, even as the environment, the built environment, continues to change. And as these things change, if we're proactive and work hard, I think we can continue to offer a great quality of life for the people who choose to live here.
As you know, we come before the council every once in a while around budget time and even during the year and talk about something that's important to us. I think Doug and I, from our early times working together in administration of a department, we really talked about doing things a different way and doing government in an innovative way and in a responsive way and in an efficient way. And I think we have come before this council many times talking about whether or not it was outcomes of triple play or ways we have been able to increase participation and with revenues to cover and solve an issue that we have in our department. And we love that celebration of efficiency in government. Sometimes those two words aren't utilized together very often, efficiency in government. But I hope you guys feel that you have a Parks and Recreation Department that does marry those two and is trying to look for better ways to operate and ways to be more relevant to our citizenry and be able to gain the success from high levels of participation. Our board always supports those initiatives, and we like to tell those stories from the board to the board about how we set our pricing for our programs that are still affordable, yet have that cover their costs of the individual programs, how we design for experience to make people want to come to our facilities. I remember as part of the sales pitch for the rec center, it was tough to get the idea of selling a $39 million bond in Provo because the only perception people had of a rec center was 12 racquetball courts and a lap pool that we could use in the afternoons down at the recs at Provo High. So why does that cost $39 million? So we have elevated the vision of our community now where they expect the best in services, but we've also elevated, we feel, the vision for how those facilities can be operated. And we talk about how amazing our parks are in comparison to others, and same with our facilities and their use. And a paradigm we just had was even though we're celebrating going to be our 7th year at the rec center, we just did not accept the paradigm that facility is going to look tired. It's going to be new forever, and that has required level of maintenance that we have, to where people walk in and you would think we just opened it up last month. And that's a commitment from our department, which continues that freshness and that newness as we get, because our community turns over more than once. But that's something we share with the board all the time, is our commitment to efficiency, and it's something we're proud of. And maybe that's what keeps Doug and I going, is that we like to do things in a different way. And we realize we have opportunities that maybe other departments have, but I would be careful, don't minimize the success that we have, because this is not happening anywhere else in any city in the United States that I have found. The presenter talked about national conferences where they're talking about Provo and how Provo delivers its services. We may somewhat take it for granted here, but we have an amazing thing going, and we have always appreciated both administrative and council support and the support of our board to keep this going, because once you have a success story, you don't want it to ever go away. So I don't know if anybody has anything to add to that.
I look at all the wonderful things that are going on when I think of the golf course. I think of the ice arena. I think of all the things that are going. But one thing that still I'm very grateful for, I think, didn't I hear, isn't the number 54 parks that we cut the grass in?
Right.
And to be able to just maintain what we've got and keep, we're looking for a lot of great things, new and innovative and wonderful things. But we also, I appreciate the job that you do, and just the job you do for maintaining everything that we've got. We're doing a lot of great and maintaining what we got.
I'll just say, having coached a lot of soccer and played on a lot of fields in a lot of other places in the state, the only problem I ever had in Provo was the grass was sometimes too thick and too green.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm sure.
It's very true. Always compliments about how great our fields are down
But,
here.
you know, whereas elsewhere, you know, you wonder if people are gonna break a bone just by falling over on the hard, brown, dried out dirt.
So the last part is, I think, just Claire Lynn has always done a great job of this at our board meetings and bringing a perspective. I remember once when Larry Shane, who was the retired person you talked to that was working on the trail, was giving a presentation on snow removal. Now, I don't know if everybody in the city knows who removes the snow on the trail and who removes the snow in the fire stations and around the city center, but that's Parks and Recreation. So we went before the board to have those services, and literally Claire Lynn got emotional because she said, I don't know if we've expressed appreciation for that. It was a moment. And so we see that passion from our board members, and I thought Claire Lynn could really provide a perspective of the unique benefits, because we talk about how it's changed, but Parks and Recreation has really changed in the last decade. This has been some major advancements from where we were to where we are now, and we're enjoying a lot of great things. But I thought Claire Lynn could provide, as our chair, a unique perspective on how she thinks this adds to our community also.
Okay, well, I wanted to spend my whole time thanking Doug and Scott and their staff because they are amazing. And then I thought, well, are they so good because you are so good, or are you so good because you see what they're doing? And I know that you're good too, because I sat there in a meeting where you unanimously approved the conservation easement for Rock Canyon Park Trail head, and that is an innovative thing that we're doing in our city, one of many innovative things that we're doing. And I do feel like we have this team of the administration, the council, the staff, all working together, and it just kind of feels like a love fest. I really like this. It feels really good. It's amazing. You know, Jen talked about how years ago she begged to be members of a private club, and during that same time, we were visiting here and saying, where would our kids ride bikes? Where would we go? You know, a lot of the parks we go to didn't exist then, and so we'd go back home and not come, even though our family was here. And now it's a totally different place, and I love that it's a totally different place. So I'm gonna tell you a story. We went to our little 12-year-old granddaughter's birthday party at one of the local parks that didn't exist 30 years ago. And we're having this, the kids are playing and it starts to rain. And so everybody in the park races for the pavilion, and the roof is fixed. I mean, it was dry under this pavilion. So we're all eating our birthday cake, and then we sing to Anna, to little Anna. And everybody in the pavilion sings happy birthday with us. And then we notice our cute little Swedish grandmother, this guy who did his mission in Sweden is talking to her. And our little grandkids have found their swimming coach and they're talking to her. And the people from another country who were there for their little family party are talking to somebody they found who did a mission down in their South American country. And everybody it's suddenly become this community of people who just came there with their families. That's what we have in Provo. It is such a blessing. It's such a blessing that we can interact, and that's what we were looking for years ago when we would visit here, and we weren't seeing it. Maybe it was here, but we weren't seeing it as visitors. We were looking for a place where we could be community. We have a police officer who's assigned to our neighborhood. Our neighborhood chair keeps sending out messages, please give him something to do.
Rob Bank in your neighborhood? Is that what
What a problem!
Give him
What
some
a problem.
problems.
Because we're all at the park doing soccer, meeting each other. We have a neighbor that doesn't go to our church. We see her every day at the park. We get to know her at the park when we're out walking. This is the other part, of what the Parks and Rec people are doing here. I love everything they're doing, but what I love is that we are a community, and we are keeping our kids safe, and we are giving them things to do, and we are managing places where different generations can come together. People from other places can see each other and get to know each other. And I just want to thank you for helping us make this happen. And we, as a board, we go to these meetings, we're like, I had this experience with Doug just last week. I said, Doug, I have to talk to you after the meeting. I've been thinking about this thing, like safety at our parks, like what if there's a terrorist? He said, oh, we've already covered that. They're always ahead of us. They're always ahead of us. And it's just an amazing, wonderful thing. So I just want to thank you all that you're just doing such a great job.
Thank you.
We're at your item now.
Sorry, say that.
The last item.
Yeah. That's a perfect transition. Before, we only have a couple minutes, but before we go, how can the council better support your mission as a Parks and Rec board? How can we improve, what can we do to better support, or how can we improve this relationship?
I think just asking that question shows where you are. It's just great that you're asking the question. And I feel supported. What about the rest of you? 100%. I feel that you do support us and that you do support Scott.
Yeah, we're also grateful for Gary. He's so great to come to our meetings every month, and he's very supportive in everything that the Park and Rec does. And we feel that comes through you guys as well, that you guys are a great support for us, so thank you. We do appreciate that.
And Gary will give us insights on what our other perspectives are in the community, and brings, a good perspective that we need to think about this, or what's this impact here. And so Councilmember Winterton on ours has really provided that citywide perspective of which the council has to have. And so I think that's been a great education process for us too.
Thank you.
That is a really good point. We met with another board, and they had some suggestions on how we could communicate better and whatnot. And perhaps Gary's the key here that has fostered. And I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, speaking for the board, but I feel like other board members are able to kind of keep a finger on the pulse of Parks and Rec because of Gary's work and how well he communicates between the board, between the department and the council as well. So thank you for that, Mr. Winterton.
He's been out there hiking around on the, he does a great job, yeah.
He's just got to stay away from trampolines.
Good point. It's getting better.
So we'll expand 7 a little bit as well. Any additional discussion, any items of mutual interest?
Can I just say something?
Yeah, please, Mayor.
So, I just want to thank all the board members that sit on the board. That's one of my jobs, is to handpick the boards and commissions, and I love it. I go through, I meet with the director of the board, and I really read your backstories and learn about your interests, and I just want to thank you. Being on the board and the commission it's a big responsibility, and you're volunteering and putting in your time. You have no idea how important the public opinion is to me and to the administration and to our directors. We're here to work for you, and we want to do what's best for you in the community. So thank you for taking the invitation to sit on this Parks and Rec board. I really appreciate it.
I just want to throw out one thought about an indoor tennis facility. I know Orem Vass is closing, and the BYU courts are the only ones that I know of beyond the Vasa courts that are going to be available for quite a distance, and I don't know if there's enough. I'm speaking very selfishly on behalf of a spouse who plays competitively, but it's very difficult to find indoor facilities anywhere in the valley. And I've got to imagine there's demand for it. I don't know if that's ever come up, but I just thought I'd throw that out.
Yeah, the courts in Provo are vibrant, and even the ones at Rotary Park, who are not in the best of shape and are due to be replaced within the next year, but going constantly. I know you have a daughter that plays tennis and goes and utilizes the indoor ones. There's a concept we've talked about some time back, and it was early in the race where we talked about a field house concept as part of the Peaks Ice Arena, and expanding that into more of that, and indoor tennis was included on that concept. Maybe sometime in the near future, we'll dust that off, and maybe we can talk about that together and do something, talking about, we have the indoor turf there and possibly expanding that. There's some opportunities in our preparation with the success story we've had at the Peaks and going to the Olympics, that allows us to move more towards that field house concept. So maybe we can talk about that and see if that facility could provide that opportunity for indoor tennis as a public facility.
I didn't hear that about FASA. When are they closing?
I don't know when.
It's pretty soon.
Only the tennis courts too.
They're very busy, so that's
They are busy, that's why
surprising to me.
I'm surprised, but I don't know if it's.
A lot of people go to the Spanish Fork indoor courts because of that. That would be something to look at.
So we have an advocate on the board, so
Yes.
I'm going to hear about it again.
I've done my spousal duty for the day.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We have run out of time, but it was a great discussion, and let me echo the mayor. We really appreciate your service to the board, to the community. Thank you. And if there are no objections, we will now adjourn by